kids. If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good morning and welcome to Keeneland Today, live right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz, along with co-host of Picks and Ponies from the East Coast of Maryland, Pete Visco. Pete, it is closing day at Keeneland. This is a nice little break for me from Breeders' Cup conversation and talk. Really good card today at Keeneland. We're sad to see it go.
Yeah, I mean, everybody loves Keeneland, so that's always stinks. But at least if your Keeneland hangover is clouded or hair on the dog by, or whatever you want to call it, by the Breeders' Cup, so that makes it good. But yeah, they ended on a good card with some good betting races, I think. And we sort of talk about. I like the second half a little bit better, which they talked about on whatever day that was, Thursday or whatever, on Betting and Boozing. But I think there's some price opportunities in the second half in the late pick five, but I think we could come up with some good stuff in the early as well.
And we're not going to discuss too much about the later part of the card. Again, there was a show. Check out our YouTube channel. The Picks and Ponies guys did a great job with Charlie and Kyle talking about those later races on. You can check out YouTube from our Thursday show. But Pete, you and I are eerily similar with some price shots actually later in the card. And there is a $70,000+ pick six carryover today. It's a $1 bet. All has to go. So if it's 5 out of 6, Pete, it's going to pay out. So
it's nice.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know how much Keeneland you watched or played this meet, but I thought Keeneland was particularly difficult this meet, Pete. There were quite a bit of bombs and carryovers. So it was a lot of fun, but it was slightly more difficult than normal, I thought, this meet for whatever reason.
No, I think so, and yeah, I think it's funny because we like it when prices come in and it's not super chalky, but we don't like it when we don't have the prices and they're costing us pick fives or whatever bets we make. So it's a double-edged sword there. But yeah, it's been a wild meet, and hopefully, based on some of our picks today, we continue that trend of some nice $20 horses and double digits and some good prices.
Rumor has it you got a little bit of a bomb in the early pick five, and I'll tell you what, I didn't have that horse originally. I took a look at that horse again, which we'll talk about. I think you got some there, Pete. Interesting. Anyway, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Breeders' Cup Power Picks. We've gotten great response, Pete. And I looked at YouTube today. I mean, the Aiden O'Brien interview has completely blown up, and that's, again, I sent out an email to all the hosts and co-hosts. It's really a credit to everyone on the show. It's not just about myself and Paul who did the interview, because it just shows you the popularity of this podcast, of which we all should be very proud of. The tip sheet is 30+ pages, Pete, and it's anywhere between $30 and $35, depending if you're a subscriber. I mean, you go on the internet and you look at all the Breeders' Cup information out there that you can buy. I've seen 70, 80, 120. You get 30 pages with us for $30 to $35. I don't know a better offer, and we're going to be covering every race. Everyone's involved. Yep. We're not going to talk about it more in detail, but again, the deadline is Wednesday, Pete. This Wednesday, I believe it's noon Eastern. I could check the website.
Yeah, everything's on there.
Yeah, please go to our website, hhhracingpodcast.com, if you are interested in the Breeders' Cup Power Picks tip sheet. It is a can't miss piece of information, and we're all going to be working very hard on that, Pete, starting Monday night once the draw. Speaking of that, last thing very quickly, we are Breeders' Cup centric now on the HHH Racing Podcast after this show. Tomorrow night, Sunday night, we've got a really cool show that I love every year. It's the BC preview show, the Breeders' Cup betting contest. I have 3 past champions, plus someone else who is Frank Mustari, who's one of the best contest players in the world, and some schmuck like me is hosting, who has not won a major yet, but I've come in second, and I've come awfully close in some big contests, and hopefully this year will be my year. And then Monday night, of course, you'll be with us with the draw show, and you'll be typing in, as you did last year, with our excitement.
The
with
spreadsheet is set up already. Well, we don't have that. We don't have that happening, but the spreadsheet is set up already for some typing. I will mention too that for the show tomorrow night, for viewers, it's not just a BC. There's going to be strategy that can be used in
Of
any
course.
live contest. So you could watch it not just related to the BC if you're interested just in dabbling in some of the smaller live money contests to work your way up. I still think it's worth the watch. And you didn't mention, and maybe you did the show, which is always really popular with Davey Lane. What was that yesterday, right? For the European horses, the little Japanese horses. That's always a popular one because so many people are a little bit intimidated still by handicapping, reading the PPs for some of the foreign horses where you don't have all the information. So I think a show like that is invaluable to people betting the Breeders' Cup.
The show with Davey Lane, it's not easy from a tech standpoint. He's in England and I'm here, and there are minor video and audio issues, and I got to show a ton of replay. It's tricky, but it's a lot of fun. And you're exactly right. If you're playing the Breeders' Cup, it's a show you have to watch because, like you said, not a lot of people are comfortable with races with a lot of European or Asian horses. Look, we don't watch a lot of those races, and we deep dove into replays and angles, and
not everyone has time to watch all the replays, which is really the only way you're going to get. Yeah, that's really the only way you're going to get a real good understanding of some of these horses, unless you've been following some of them throughout the year, which again isn't easy for everyone to do.
No. All right, let's jump in, Pete. Before we do that, we got a few comments in the chat. Michael Austin wants to know when everyone's arriving. Pete, unfortunately, will not be there. The rest of the podcast will. I'm leaving Thursday morning. Most of the podcast hosts and co-hosts are coming in Thursday. I know Matt Miller is arriving Wednesday. Keith Borger is ready for the show. Just looking at some comments.
There's a lot of baseball talk we've got going in the chat from the Yankees game last night.
I'm a huge baseball fan, Pete. And I've been so Breeders' Cup centric and busy and whatever. I don't even know who won last night. I'm not even going to lie.
Well, the Dodgers won on a walk-off grand slam in the bottom of the 10th, I believe. So
wow, really?
As some of us Yankee fans here on the show and in the chat was not a.
Ouch.
And there were maybe a couple of pitching choice snafus by our favorite coach, our favorite manager, Aaron Boone. So there was. Not the best night.
Usually that's a complaint from the Dodgers fans about Roberts. But
about Roberts,
apparently not. There's a lot of Yankee talk. All right, a lot of talk in general. Horsey Dave. I'm glad you're feeling better, back. Horsey Dave. Yes, we don't need you in the hospital. We appreciate that. So Horsey Dave, we haven't seen his name in a while. Now we know why. Appreciate it. All right, Pete, let's get into it. Now, as of 10 minutes ago, the scratches were not in.
I didn't look. I would
be very surprised if they're not in by now because usually they're in it. And I'm looking at
Equibase.
I'm looking at Equibase, and I don't actually see them yet, which is again unusual. They usually have them in by by this time. And of course, now
I'll refresh. I'll try and refresh as we go and see.
Well, what I'm going to do also is I was on the Keeneland website. Let me go to that really quick off screen here because that's the first place. Yep, scratches are in. So I'm sure they'll come in on Equibase. We'll talk about it as we go along. Obviously, scratches literally came in a few minutes ago, ladies and gentlemen, and so our picks on the bottom of the screen might have to be adjusted, but you guys know the drill. Let's get going into this, Pete. Here we go. Early pick 5 is our conversation this morning. We'll touch a little bit on the later races just for a minute, Pete, because there is a big pick six carryover. The first race of the day of closing day at Keeneland is a 62.5 claimer. They're going 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. Older fillies and mares. I believe I'm just going to refresh one time. The one is out. No, it's not in yet, but scratches are in, Pete. I've got them on another screen. So the one Divine Gal is out. Not really a factor here. Field of 8. Big Moorline favorite. Florida bred for Safi. All class. Let's see if Pete and I are going to be going with all class, who, if this filly lives up to her name, she'll probably win. We're thinking similar. I'm going to try it a little bit upside here. I'm going 2-5-3. Pete's going 5-2-8. Let's talk briefly about all class, Pete. Even money morning line.
Yeah, I don't dislike what you did because I don't look at this horse and think, oh man, definite even money shot, can't lose. I just think when you look at all class, just from sort of a form and figure standpoint, which going basic, she just looks pretty good and she looks pretty strong. I mean, she's coming out of optional claiming 20 state bred. So it's not like she's killing it against top level company, but she just looks pretty good. She's tactical. So she should work out a nice trip, especially in not the biggest field. I like the jockey change to Gaffleone, who's obviously the leading rider here. So you assume you're going to get a good ride. And again, if you have a tactical horse, you assume you're going to work out a decent trip. Yeah, what you're showing there is part of it too. He could sit, and this horse can sit off a bit. He can sit off the 2 or the 4 and sort of make the decision. Does he want to go to the lead? Does he want to sit back and sort of stalk and pounce? I think he can do whatever. So I think it's a logical horse to have on top, and one if you're playing the pick 5. It's hard not to include this horse in a pick 5 play.
You know, I realize, Pete, when we're talking about female horses, it's always sort of safe to say he.
Oh, I was saying he.
Because you can just come back and just say it was the jockey I was talking about, not the horse.
I was that time, though. When I said he, I meant the jockey. Because I said she, I think about the horse, so I think I got it right. But I'll drink just for the hell of it.
I knew that's where you were going. It's just made me crack up. Unless Sophie Doyle's riding, then we got issues, right?
Yeah, we don't have as many. It's not like the Julie Crone days. We need Julie Crone back.
Oh man, I love Julie Crone. Or how about little Rosie from your neck of the woods, little Rosie in Provnick. Anyway, Safi 2 for 14 on the meet. It's not like he's setting the world ablaze here. But I think all class is the horse to beat. Now, the horse that I've got on top, and the one that you find very interesting as well, is the number 2.
Edistrudis? That's what I think it is.
Boy, I'm bumbling, stumbling MFer here. Fausto Gutierrez, Pete, and I'm sure you deep dove because, hey, Pete, why don't you tell what happened today with the Keeneland Power Picks? I believe you wrote them, correct?
I did. Yes, I did. I did write them.
Yes, anyone who received that this morning, hopefully you're going to appreciate Pete's deep diving here because he has some great intel. Fausto Gutierrez, where are we? 25% win, 38% in the money, 6+ month layoff, last 5 years. I know she looks a little slow on paper, obviously, but that was early in her 3-year-old season, Pete, and these fillies can obviously improve. She's been working great. I expect her to be on the lead if she's ready to go in breaks. You got Saez. I don't know. I'm going for a little bit of price. You sort of agree. You've got her second.
Yeah, if I was just saying, hey, here's a pick 5 ticket, just sort of a basic, I would go 2-5 here. So I would go, I would say sort of skinny and go with the 2, because I do think this 2 has upside. I think she was probably just over her head in the last 2. And I mean, you look 3 back, I mean, she's in, optional claiming 80 and ran a real nice second to the 1 horse here at a huge price. Now we're getting Saez, who, like you said, you think this horse is going to go. You put Saez on, he's going to be an aggressive with a horse that has some speed. I did have one other stat, Fausto Gutierrez, 12 out of 20, just in the money, first-time Lasix and dirt sprints. So, they get the Lasix move off the layoff, working great. I mean, I guess the only thing would be if for some reason she's a little short and, the 5 gets the jump on her a bit and sort of is on the outside. But I think if you're trying to beat a low-priced favorite, I think this is one to do it. So I'm with you. I'm all 2-5 here.
Last question, we're going to move on. I think this is very important. The younger Howard Kravitz, who was not nearly as good a handicapper as I feel like I am now and with my knowledge, would look at this and say, oh, this horse is in for 62.5. That's a huge negative. I mean, she was staked early in the year, right, Pete? If she's really that good, why would they put her in for 62.5? Now, I don't know the exact reason. There's a lot of guessing in this game, but she only cost $42,000 at Keeneland September, and she's earned $100,000, and this purse is already pretty good. So if you were to ask me, is it more of a negative than a positive? I would admit it's probably more of a negative, but it's not like a red flag situation for me. How say you about that concept?
No, I try not to, anytime, and we talk about this with like jockey moves, and we talk about this with a lot of stuff where you notice it, but you don't really know the intent. And like you said, it could just be, hey, we've made this horse is done by us right. And the owners might be thinking this horse is done really well by us, made us some money. Let's put her in. Maybe she doesn't get picked up, she runs well, and then we can move her into allowance or even back into a non-graded stake if they want to take a shot. So it's hard to gauge intent. but I agree with you. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but this also isn't the best field, Howard. So,
No.
It's one of
Mixed
those where,
feelings, to be honest. I
yeah,
wish I didn't see it, but it's not going to talk me off it. That's
that's what I
Grinch's
mean.
way,
Yeah, I
right?
wouldn't let it talk you off
Okay,
in any way.
Pete, I'm about to break your heart, my friend.
Let's do it.
You know why?
No.
It's not showing up here. The 5 is out.
Oh, my 5 is out. Ah, shoot.
Wow, I'm actually shocked you said shoot.
I
I was
know.
expecting a
I
profanity
almost
for sure
changed it.
there.
No,
5 and 8. The 5 and 8 are out, Pete. The 5 Burn Breeze was one of Pete's plays of the day and of the morning, and I actually thought that horse would be interesting too. But anyway, let's move on. Race
You know
2,
what?
7.
That shows me, because I had a note in here. The last note I have maybe just isn't any good, and maybe this horse just isn't in the best spot, or isn't in the best. I don't know what's going on with her, but maybe that's it. So maybe it was a good thing. Maybe it saved money, but I am disappointed because it's not often you like the longest shot on the board on top. But we digress. Let's move on.
30 claimers, 7 furlongs on the dirt. The 5 and 8 are out. It does not show here. There was a jockey change also on the 3, which I think some people would find interesting because Roman, is not exactly a high profile jockey or percentage. It is Rafael Bejarano, Pete, on
Okay.
Asian Matriarch. Moorline favorite is the number 2, Out of Nothing at All for Toner and Jose Ortiz. And let me do you think our younger guys, Pete, would understand that name or that reference? I'm assuming that lyric, perhaps, or
Yeah.
are you not familiar with that?
Making love out of nothing at all.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to sing because nobody wants to hear my voice
Well, you know
first
what,
thing in the
Pete?
morning.
Guess what? Hold on a second. You don't have to. Hold on one
Beautiful.
second, because Air Supply from 1983. A great song, Making Love Out of Nothing at All. Pete, I know you and I probably in some middle school dances or high school dances.
I have it on my phone, my friend.
Well, hold on a second. Let me everyone be ready to sway to the music and enjoy. Hopefully you can hear this. One of the best love songs I personally believe, Pete, of all time. Here we go. Hold on. Hold on, Pete. I
You're
screwed that
killing
up.
the mood here, man. We're trying
I know. Give me a
trying to
second.
get the love mood
I
here.
set this all up, Pete. There's no way we're not playing this. Hold on just
No,
one second.
let's do it.
I got to put it on speaker here. I think this will work. Let's see what happens. Here we go.
I can't hear it at all.
Oh, you guys can't hear it?
No,
Ah, I'm so bummed.
that bums.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great
Well,
song.
I'm gonna
Everybody,
try to cue it
well,
up anyway.
luckily
But
our
it's
audience,
it's a
maybe
classic.
we
Anyway,
got some
for people
older
that know the
folks in the
song,
audience. Yeah.
really, you guys couldn't hear that, huh?
No.
Pete,
Oh, can you
hold
hear
on
me
one
now?
second. No, I
Yeah.
got it. Switch something. So I'm trying to do something a little bit fancy, everyone. So that's why I'm trying to switch some sound here. Let me see. Let's try one more time here. You know what? That's gonna be too hard. Sorry about that. Well, anyway, classic song, uh, "Making Love Out of Nothing at All" from 1983, Air Supply, Pete. That's where the reference comes from, right?
Yes, I is my assumption. I don't know where else it would come from.
I would
With
assume
that
so.
line. Yeah, I don't know that line, but yes.
Let's see if people in the chat know this song, huh? Let's see here.
Yeah.
Making love. No. Out of nothing at all.
Yeah.
Out of nothing
We
at
need the
all.
lighter like you used to do in the concert back in
Where's
the day.
here we go.
Yeah,
Hold on
we
a
need a
second.
lighter. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
don't
do.
have
Hold
that.
on. Let's get this going. The show is completely effed up now, but all right. Anyway, here we go.
There we go. The good old days. Now I want to ask some girl to dance. I gotta go.
I know.
Actually, more like not ask a girl to dance if you were going by my youth. So.
Well, yeah, because sitting on like I'm on the
Sitting in the
wall,
corner,
right
yeah.
on the girl, while the girls are on the others. Anyway.
Yeah, doing
Well,
nothing.
that
Yes.
little PTSD just happened from little puberty PTSD from our
Yeah.
youth. I'm sure Jackson will not have that problem though. I would assume. Your son.
He's been to a couple dances, and he's danced with some girls. He's a little ahead of me, so I'm happy for him.
Guy St. Louis, let's just get back to the handicap. Guy, we hear you. I think
Sorry,
you're right,
Guy.
actually, about that. All right. Anyway, well, good for Jackson. Good luck with that. That's
Yeah.
definitely a tough gig at first.
Yeah.
There's definitely some uncomfortable feelings there for sure. Anyway, I think I like this horse. Let's just get to the point. Where are we? Race 2. There we go. I'm going 2-1-3. Pete, you're going 5-2-9. Bourbon Breeze is out. You just default to out nothing at all now.
Yeah, pretty much. Why don't you give since you had it on top to begin with?
Right.
What did you? I mean, I think that's a pretty logical favorite, right?
Yeah,
You would agree?
I think the horse is going to the lead. I think that she's in good form. She's been working very well. Toner has been 1 for 3 at this meet, so not a lot of runners. Bringing runners with intent. This is a pretty weak field, to be very honest. I just think she doesn't lay over the field. I have a bunch of others as Bs because I don't think I think it's relatively open. She just seems very logical. I'm just not going to get cute. I think the fact that you had the 5 on top just shows how possibly open this field was before the 5 scratch.
Yeah. She had a lifetime buyer top, lifetime time form top in her last. Her figures are improving. It's a logical company for me. She's got Jose up again, who's won on her before. The only stat I didn't love and what made me a little more comfortable trying to take a shot against Jimmy Toner, 2 for 42, first after 120 plus day layoff. So I was like, again, when you're looking for something to try and knock against a favorite, I always try and do that to see if there's any reason why the favorite might not be as logical as they look on paper, and maybe that's a good enough reason. And his horses hit the board, though, at a pretty normal clip, 40% for him. So I don't know. But I think he looks like damn it, I did it that time. She looks like the best horse in the race to me. There we go.
I don't know why I just didn't do that originally.
Yeah, we don't question those things.
It's just
a great song. I love it.
I
love Air Supply. I loved Air Supply then and now.
Michael Austin, do you even know what we're talking about? Michael Austin is in his 20s.
No.
Look, I know we're showing our age a little bit, but that's okay. I got the 1 in second, Sugar Bell. Again, I just think Sugar Bell sits a nice trip on the inside. Stalking has numbers that fit. But I think the 2 is going to be tough.
Got Arietta's ice cold though. What is it? 1 for 50. I didn't refresh.
Ouch.
It was an 0 for 4 yesterday too.
1 for 52.
Yeah, it was 1 for 48 as of, I guess they must have had 4 losses maybe yesterday, the last time I refreshed. So yeah, that was one where I was like, maybe on the last day, maybe he breaks out, or maybe it stays pretty bad.
Yeah. Hey, look who's here. Justin Sampson. What's up, Justin? Our friend from Equine Edge. How you doing, Justin? Good luck with your picks today at Keeneland and your bets. Miss you, man. Hope to see you soon. I don't know if I'm assuming you're not going to be at the Breeders' Cup, but I don't know. Ooh, we got another big scratch just came in too.
By the way, if you refresh the PPs, the scratches are on there as well now.
Wow, there goes a big play for me in the late pick 5.
Oh God, I tossed him. I didn't even have him in the money.
Really? I love him. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Wow. Rattle and
he's
roll.
He's going to the Breeders' Cup. That's what Katie
said.
Oh,
is that so? He's going to get in, right? That's
what Katie said. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, not ridiculous that he got in. Ridiculous, in my opinion, that he's actually going to that race instead of. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. Let's see who's here. Oh, Scott said Oldie has been en fuego. Good for Oldie from Equine Edge. Yeah, love the Equine Edge guys. Really appreciate it. Okay, no Breeders' Cup for Justin. That's what I figured. Let's go on to the next race, Pete. As that whole musical interlude had sort of threw me off kilter here, but I don't know why I just didn't do it on my phone. It's so stupid. I don't know what I was thinking, but
we don't question your
I
brain
try
sometimes.
Yeah. I try to be creative. All right. Next race is race 3. That would be race after race 2, I believe. Race 3 is a maiden special, Pete. Let's bring up 100K, mile and eighth. I know you have a pretty strong opinion, as do I here. $100,000. The rails are down. Sir Philly 2-year-olds, field of 12. You said scratches are in on Equibase now, so let's see what we got.
No, they're in on DRF too, so they should be on Equibase.
Okay,
no, are they not?
The Equibase is late. Just the AEs are out. Just the AEs are out here. So the big Moorline favorite here is number 7, Mambo Queen, Chad Saez. I think we're both going with this, what I think is to be a relatively heavy favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going 7-2-9. You're going 7-9-8. Why don't you talk about Mambo Queen in race 3?
Yeah, you hate to take the chalk when you don't, in a race like this, but this is logical. It's a Peter Brand horse. You got Chad. You're going from Pratt to Saez, so it's not that bad. And then even in the debut, I mean, just didn't break well, but finished really well late. And now I just think this is a horse that we're getting a little added distance here. Probably will be coming from a little bit off, but hopefully for their sake, with Saez not going to be that far back. Maybe gets a little bit of pace. I forget if maybe you want to check the thing too, if there's going to be
Yeah, I'll
some
do that
pace
in
in
a
here.
second.
But I just think this is a logical one that's probably going to take a little bit of a move forward. Where's we'll let you show
Right
the
here in the
replay
Peter
first.
Brand. When I watched this race at first, Pete, this is not like an explosive kind of Chad Brown. Like, she seems a bit grindy to me. I think this distance is exactly what she wants. If this was there, she is crossing. The winner was tons the best. But
Yeah.
when you look at the breeding here, you realize why this horse is. Oh, can't look at it there. Sorry, let me go back to the actual field here. I wasn't overly impressed by the replay. But then when you look at the breeding, this painter's muse was a Euro who's going over a mile and a half. So clearly, this horse is going to want distance, and right? Yeah, she gets distance. The Mendelssohn's not necessarily like very long distance, but this horse seems very logical. Like I said, a bit grindy. I was trying to find someone else. I just couldn't really see it in this race unless my 2 first time starter is the goods, which I don't think is completely impossible. I'll talk about her in a second. You've
Real
got
quick, I
the
had a really granular stat on Chad, which is a
okay.
positive. He's 8 out of 16 wins, so 50%, 12 out of 16 in the money. Second time starters going, 9 furlongs and up on the turf in maiden special weights in the past few years. So this just seems to be sort of his gig where he stretches a horse out second time, and
You
it's
know what
just
though,
great
Pete,
for him.
and we got to move along here, but I wonder how good that stat is in Kentucky because
And look, yeah,
he's
let me.
really mainly New York, right? So I'm not saying his horses that are in Kentucky aren't good, but I don't know. This horse is the one to beat. You got my gal second. I just don't like the fact she was 21-1, but it's a Catholic boy. Pay attention, Paul Halloran. She ran fine. I wasn't blown away, but Jonathan Thomas, very good second out. That's how you've got
Yeah,
in in second. I'm using the 9 very defensively. Go ahead, talk about the stat, and then I'll talk about my
oh,
2.
it's okay. I didn't have anything good yet. I was still digging through
Oh,
it a little
okay.
bit.
Love and Poetry is interesting. This is a $300,000 horse for Sri DeVoe. Pete, and has been working very well. Gets IRAD. The Dam was a very quick synthetic horse. I have a feeling Grace and Dignity is going to take some money here. A hard spun filly. I don't know. This horse might show some aggression from the inside. And what I found at Keeneland this meet, Pete, is when you see upsets on the turf, it's usually been wire to wire with
Yeah,
horses that look implausible. Does that
yeah,
sound familiar with New York racing?
yeah.
So if Love and Poetry is ready, I think she'll probably be 6-8-1 into the teeth of a big heavy favorite. If Love and Poetry, the number 2, is taking money out, I would look out, Pete, because I think she could be live. I just think the rest of this field is very meh to me.
No, I agree. And there's really good works, 3, 4, 5
Yep.
back, and then it looks like the last 2 were maybe you assume are just sort of maintenance works for getting ready for the first start. So
Yep.
I like the choice on that. I had that one as more of like on the fence of a BC. Cherie
Sure.
DeVoe, not so good with first time starters on the turf in Kentucky, since you were talking about Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
2 for 36, but
Oh,
Cherie's
there's
on the
not
up
good.
and up. So I think, you never know with a stats like hers, like her last couple of years are going to be better than maybe, going back a bit. So
Yep.
I don't, you could discount some of those pretty easily. She's a $300,000 horse too. I don't know if you
She
mentioned
is.
that. I apologize if you said that already,
I
but
did, but
yeah,
that's okay. You were busy looking at the stat.
yeah, yeah,
I wish this race was where I could see the board for the early pick 5, but we can't. So let's
yeah.
just move on. Next race, Pete, which I don't know why I did that. I want to do that. 3 and 4 are out, by the way. The 3 and 4 are out of race 4. It's a starter allowance. 20,000. I'm sure you're fine with those scratches. It moves the horse. Well, it moves most horses in further in when it's a short stretch. Luan Machado, pay attention. This is a first line finish. Luan Machado,
Yeah.
attention, Luan Machado.
Hey,
All
you're
right.
talking about the Equibase, or what was it, Jockey of the Week? You're talking about right there.
Yes, who actually
So
is not in this race coincidentally. But anyway,
yeah, no, it's just
best
funny.
performer from the rails 2-1, Windy Walk 3-1, the number 6 for Chris Davis and Saez. Those are clearly the two likely winners. We're not getting cute. I'm going 1-6-11. You're going 6-1-7, Pete. I know Windy Walk's a horse you like quite a bit. I don't think you're getting the 3-1 now because of the scratches. Even though the 3 and 4 weren't going to take money, I think we're looking at like 6-5, 9-5 kind of situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's disappointing. This is one of the horses I really liked. I think this one, I tend to like when a horse has a little bit of muddied up stuff on the form, and it didn't account for her having a higher price morning line. But at least if you look 2 and 3 back, again, we talked about it earlier. I think she may have just been a bit out of her depth when you put her in. Basically, when you put her in sort of this level, not this level, but around this level and not shooting over her head, she just wins races. And that's what she's been doing. She won the last out. She's got a win at Keeneland back earlier this year. It was a maiden 20, but she did it the right way. She has a lifetime buyer top, lifetime time form top in her last one, and then was really good 3 back, 4 back. So again, if you take 2 back and 3 back out because she was just shooting a little too high, I think she's going to be right there. Gets Saez, which is fine. Again, I think she runs her best races. You see on there, I think that's where, if she's in this spot, I think she's in great shape. And what I like about Saez too, she does her best running when she's up close, not on the lead, but if she's second, third, right off the lead, she does her best running. And I think Saez will be aggressive enough to get her in that spot. So there's a lot I like about her. And I do have, when we get to the 1, a really negative stat against the 1, which again, if you're trying to beat what might be a low priced favorite, we look for anything we can.
Okay, well, give it to me, Pete, because I thought the 1 was by far the horse to beat here.
Oh, definitely.
Even though she's been, she's actually turf bred, she's run perfectly fine on the dirt, and I just have a feeling that they wouldn't run this horse back on the dirt. Although maybe there's really isn't a spot to run this horse on the turf. What's the negative stat, Pete?
Juan Cano, 0 for 37, first after the claim in dirt routes. Which, again, that's not a small sample size. But here's the problem. There's some stats where you come up with the stat, and I don't know the reason why that would be the case necessarily. But maybe, again, it's one where I look at it and go, I like to call it out just in case so people know. And again, if you're trying to beat a favorite, we'll see.
Well, the minute, as a math guy, I hear that and I think, wow, that's pretty bad. I just want to see what he is in routes in general, because I don't think he's really a 2-turn kind of trainer. 12% overall. No, that's last 5 years, right? Last 5 years.
That's 5 years, yeah.
Last 5 years.
Do dirt too. Do dirt, because this was dirt routes specifically.
Okay. Yeah. So I just want to see what he is in general. It's actually not great, but not bad. Dirt routes.
Let's see.
Last 5 years, he's 8%.
It's not great,
so
but
it's not great for him. And then compared to, let's see what he is, Pete, compared to dirt sprints. Because if this is much better, I'm less concerned about that stat. I don't know if you believe, if I'm making sense there or not. Let's see what he is. Yes, he's much better in dirt sprints at 14%. So that is quite alarming, though. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that's not an interesting stat. He's better as a sprint trainer anyway. Something to pay attention to, though. I appreciate that.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if that's going to change my mind.
No, it's not.
Normally,
it
would change my mind, to be honest. Yeah. I don't know. But he's been working. Or she? Oh boy. Yeah.
She. Yes.
She.
A lot of she's, a lot of females races in the early pick 5. We love it. Yeah. It's not the best field either. Again, I think when you can have some knocks against a horse, but if they sort of lay over the field a bit, it might not matter. So even when it's something like that, it might not matter, because I just don't think the field's all that great.
What is this? I'm assuming it's gonna be windy at Keeneland today because you got Windy Walk with the 6 and you got Windy
Windy
Bay
Bay, yeah.
with the 11. I didn't like the post here, but now that the Windy Bay moves into the 9, that's much more manageable to me. People are like,
Yeah,
it's not a big deal. It is. That's 10 feet, 15 feet of difference. It definitely matters. And if she can get to the top, I think I might upgrade her
yeah, it's
slightly. And
funny because
I
the outside posts at this configuration from the 9 to the 12 were 0 for, what is that, 25. So now you're
yeah,
moving in a bit. It gets what she still would be in what, the 9 hole at this
9.
point,
Yep.
which is 0 for 11. So not great, but the closer you
Yeah.
get in, the better it gets at this configuration. So
Yeah. Um, Interesting race. It's probably going to be one of those two. All right, Pete, there's a big situation in race 5 that I had a feeling was going to happen. And actually, when I prepared for the show this morning and handicapping last night, I was pretty sure this was going to happen. You'll understand what I mean here. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, I didn't even have to adjust anything this morning because that's what I anticipated. So let's go to the last race of the early pick 5. We'll show our best bets and have a very, very short pick 6 conversation with the carryover as I'm trying to scroll down. But the big situation in race 5 is there's some scratches and there's an AE that gets in that is going to have a major effect on this race in a positive way if you like the horse. It's the mile 3/16 turf race for allowance horses, fillies and mares. The scratches aren't showing up. Oh, they are. They're on the side. Usually they scratch. There we go. The 7 is out, who just ran. She just ran recently. That brings the 13 random harvest in. Boy, Toner could have a big day today, James
yeah,
Toner. Franco, the 13 is the morning line favorite now that she's in. And you can see on the screen, that was my top choice. If she got in, she got in. Pete, I'll let you talk about how that might affect your picks in a moment. I'm going
yeah.
13-6-3. So I would have the 5/4 here. Pete's going initially
Actually,
3,
you could
4,
change mine to
7.
3, 13, 4. Now I would.
Will
That's where
do.
I would go. Please.
Okay, absolutely. Just because you were a nice boy and said, please, I'm going to do
Thank you.
that.
I have very good
So
manners.
you
Yes,
do,
I
except for the
do.
language at times. But anyway,
Bucket.
apparently,
There you go.
going from you, not me. That was you saying it.
Yeah.
Public Assembly. You're going to stay with this Chad horse with Jose Ortiz, 3-1 morning line. Very logical here.
Yeah, again, with the 13 in, I think the 13 probably does look better on paper, but I hate to go against a horse that I had on top. Again, we're talking a Brown Peter Brandt horse, so the connections obviously are good. I like the improvement in both races in 2024. So the debut in 23 was terrible. Gave this horse a lot of time off. It was a $300,000 purchase. Came back, just broke terrible. Was way in the back. Closed nicely, 2 back. Stretched out a bit and looked really good. When it was closing it, like sat off a slow pace, going a mile and 5/16. We're cutting back a little bit, but I like that we're still going relatively long here. So I think there's a lot. I think if Ortiz can get this horse again in sort of that similar position, I think the distance suits. I think obviously this horse just might be on the improve and is pretty logical here. And if we can get a little bit of pace at this distance, I think it sets up really well.
Well, I think there will be some pace in this race.
I
At
do
least
too.
that's
Yeah,
how I handicapped it.
me too.
And I don't know how that affects the 13, but if you look at the pace projector, they don't have it fast. I don't think it's going to be fast, but
But there's at
I
least
do think,
horses there. There's
yeah,
horses
yeah,
that are forwardly placed, so at least it should
yes.
be something.
I think it's going to be honest for
Yeah,
sure. I just don't see it to be dawdling. Of course, you never know in this freaking game.
yeah.
I don't look, I'm going to use her, obviously, Pete. When these Chads are running like 60s and low 70s, like this late in their 3-year-old year, I just don't think this is one of the better horses in his barn. Now, that being said, she obviously is good enough to win this race. She's going to take a ton of money. I'm a little bit negative to her, to be very honest. I think it's a
I mean,
wide
that's
open
fair.
field.
I don't disagree
Her
with that.
time forms are 101, 102. There's a bunch of horses in this race, Pete, that are right there with her, and she's going to be 3 times less the price than a bunch of them. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sold on Public Assembly. I am sold on 13 Random Harvest. We're not going to show the replay. This number was legit. It was a fast pace at Kentucky Downs. She won. Boy, when they pushed the button on this horse, it was like instantaneous. I think this is a really nice horse. Franco is 2 for 7 in his abbreviated stint at Keeneland. Toner is very live right now. I don't mind the wide post here. There's plenty of room to tuck in. I just think Random Harvest could be something special. You see the time for him, Pete. We talk about it. 107, while the 3 has already ran a few times at best at 102. So
Yeah, no,
there's
you're
no
right.
reason to think this horse won't improve unless she can't handle the distance. But Claire de Lune, who's a horse I actually, I know some of the breeding of Claire de Lune. There's a lot of reference here to Richard Dutcher-Swab from Arlington back in the day. Had some talented runners. One of them is actually named Claire de Lune, obviously different horse. But anyway, this horse went long distance in Europe back in 16. So obviously I'm not concerned about the distance, at least from a breeding standpoint. The one horse I want to mention, we'll start ending the show and talk about our picks. This is a fuzzy for me, sort of similar to your 5, Pete, that you liked earlier in the car that was scratched. Take a look at Egyptian Candy really quick. Now, first of all, Pete, the first thing that came to my mind is I look at speed figs first in general, other than maybe breeding. 102, 102. Now that's the same thing as the 3.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the odd discrepancy. I know it's not all about numbers. I watched the replay of the Jockey Club Oaks Invitational won by Beautiful Love, who's going to the Breeders' Cup Philly Mare Turf. This is a major, major step down in class. There was Makango. Makango was in that race, right? That field compared to this field is I mean, like a grade 1. So this is a major step down in class. There's nothing to show replay wise. She didn't run great. She was very rank early on the inside. She's been working fine. She got a little break after that race. She's been working locally. I don't know. I think this is a wide open race, and I'm very happy with going with a fuzzy. And she can close, Pete, in a race where it looks like there's a decent amount of speed. Look at number 6, Egyptian Candy, everyone. It's a bit of a
I
price
had her.
underneath.
I had her
Go
as an
ahead.
I had her as an underneath, so I completely
Yeah,
agree with you 100%. I didn't like her
appreciate it.
as much on the win end, but I did like her as an underneath horse for sure.
Let's talk about our best bets, pick 6 though, and I do want to show some comments. I've been negating people in the chat because we've been babbling a little bit too much. You like Windy, oh boy, Windy Walk, right?
Windy Walk, yes, I
Okay,
do.
you
I
like
just
Windy
yeah,
Walk.
we're keeping it straightforward. That was in the
Yeah.
4th race. I like the number 6, Windy Walk. Again, it's not the best price, but
Yep.
you take what you get.
I'm doing something extremely unlike me, which is a bit of a chalky best bet here. Dutching the 1-6 in race 4. We already talked about it. Nothing special. And I do like the number 6 Egyptian Candy. Maybe a little insanity win bet and definitely underneath in reverse tri keys, Pete. In a race where I
I like
don't love the Chad Brown horse, to be honest. And I think, the 13 could be tough. But other than the 13, I think it's pretty wide open in that race. I don't know if you looked at the later races. Pete, you want to toss out a horse or two from your power pick tip sheet? You don't have to talk ad nauseum, but maybe a horse people might want to be keying on in the pick 6 or late pick 5.
Well, obviously, I did look at them because I did the power picks
Of
for us
course.
today. So I looked at the whole card in advance, and the one that I'll throw out, and it is the sort of the co-feature of the day. Make sure I didn't look at the scratches yet. Let me look at the scratches. Make sure the horse is actually in the
Sure.
race. Yes, in the 9th race, I like the number 1 Neat and at a price. And I think this is a really good race. I thought actually all 3 stakes races today, I thought were very good, very competitive, deep fields. I thought you can get some prices. Now, what I like about Neat, I just think this is a really good horse. She's 3 for 4 wins at the mile. She has a win over Keeneland, and her only loss going the distance was last time at Kentucky Downs in the Gun Runner, where she just didn't break well. She was really wide, way too far back, and still closed for a nice 3rd behind Brilliant Birdie and Hershey, who are in this race. And the other thing I like is we're getting a price, and I put this on the tip sheet, so I'm spoiling it here. The number 1 post position is 6 for 11 wins at this configuration at Keeneland. No one else, no other post position has even more than 1 win. So I think the trip that he gets in a field where he was 3-1, just under 3-1 last time against a bunch of these, including the favorite, or not the favorite, the second choice. Why not this horse with a better trip? Comes right back. I like that Junior is going to maybe work out something from the rail. I think all signs point to this being a good race for this horse, and you're getting 8-1 as opposed to a horse like Brilliant Birdie, who's sitting at 7-2, and Trickery, who's the 2-1 favorite, Oh, is Trickery out? No, Trickery's in, right? Yeah, Trickery obviously is in.
Trickery is in, yes.
I had seen somewhere that Trickery was scratching for some reason, but maybe not.
No.
Maybe I made that up. Trickery, the outside post here, I just don't think is advantageous for that horse. So I think if you're trying to knock the favorite,
Yeah.
I like that. But I really like Neat at a price.
I heard the owners of Trickery have some kids that are going to be saying trickery or treat.
Trickery or treat, I like it.
They're not going to say trick or treat. They say trickery or treat.
Trickery. And people maybe then would
by the way,
throw
no idea
candy
if
at
they have
them.
kids.
They
I'm
would
just
throw
being goofy.
candy at them because they'd say, "What's wrong with your stupid kids?" So
Yeah,
do it the
no
right
idea
way.
if they have kids. Just having some fun.
Yes.
I'm trying to beat Trickery today, but I like your Neat angle there. I think it's a pretty. No, I won't even say it. It's a good angle. I was going to say it's a blank angle, but we don't want to pun too much here. Let me just go to some quick people in the chat, and then we'll end the show, Pete. We're going a little bit longer today. That's okay. Stephanie, are you guys attending the Breeders' Cup? Everyone except Pete. Sorry, Pete, but I don't know what to say another way.
That's all right.
It is what it is. We're going to be all over. We're going to be in the Breeders' Cup rooms, mainly Stephanie, which is several different places, paddock bar, third level. The best way to get in touch with me if you're going to be at the Breeders' Cup next week is probably just a DM. Send me a DM. I don't want to be inundated with like 100 emails, to be very honest with you. You can feel free to do that, but the best way is to DM me on X, and we'll see if we can get together at the Breeders' Cup and have a beverage. Raymond says, crush your bets. That's always a good idea, Raymond. Appreciate that. Dave Duncan, if you want to see Dave, who's racing that win, will be in the clubhouse. So thanks, Dave. Looking forward to seeing you. Dan H said, Sai is going to have a big day. That is very possible. Let's see here. I want to see what else is going on. No, that's about, I think that will. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. The Headless Horseman gets to ride across the track at Keeneland today. I don't know if people know what he's talking about. I do. It's an outrider who puts on a big headless horse mask and, tries to scare the Patriots. It's sort of fun. But you're a big Halloween guy, aren't you?
My son loves the Headless Horseman, so I'll have to make sure
Really?
you tell him about that. We'll see. Yeah, he does. He loves the Headless. He actually was going to be the Headless Horseman for Halloween this year, but then something overtook Art the Clown from Terrifier. If there's any horror fans in here, he will be Art the Clown in his Santa suit from Terrifier 3 this year. We were bloodying up. He was bloodying up his Santa outfit this morning in preparation. Yes.
It's complete. It's one. Do you want to talk about an upset of the day? It's a complete upset, tongue in cheek, that Jackson Visco is wearing something horror film related for Halloween, Pete.
We saw Smile 2 last night. Anybody in the chat? Smile 2 was awesome. Go see it in the theater.
Okay.
It was fantastic.
When you saw his Halloween outfit, you must have just your heart must have just lifted.
I love it. Yeah,
I mean,
I love it. I love having a son that likes horror. Yeah, I love having a son who loves horror like me. Mommy doesn't like it always as much, but we ignore what mommy says sometimes.
All right, I hear you, Pete. It's been a great time here at Keeneland today. We really hope everyone's appreciate our morning shows. We work very hard on this podcast, and if you want to support the podcast the best, other than just watching and listening, there's really two ways to do it. Look into our Power Picks tip sheet. All those profits and proceeds goes right back to our hosts and co-hosts, and it's really important that I try to take care of my wonderful staff, so to speak, as best as possible. So if you do want to support the podcast, the best way is to do that through our various Power Pick tip sheets we have, including the Breeders' Cup one, which ends next Wednesday. And I would say the Keeneland Power Picks, but that ended, of course, today. We'll bring them back, I'm sure, for the next
or just send money directly to me if you want. You could do either one.
Sure.
Either one works. I'll take, I'll put my address out. You can just mail me checks, PayPal, Venmo. I take it all. I take anything, really.
I'm sure Pete will be putting up on X because he's
right.
not shy about that.
Just what I need, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we appreciate everyone dealing with our little bit of insanity this morning. You got to have fun. For my friend and co-host, Pete Visco, this has been your host, Howard Kravitz. The last Keeneland Today morning show for 2024. Crush your bets on closing day at Keeneland. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Kravitz. If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.